Welcome to the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by X2 Comedy. If you're looking to get more out of your Shenandoah Valley experience, then this is the podcast for you. You'll meet interesting people, the comedians that perform here, and find out more about what you can do and see. Whether you live here or plan to visit, listen to explore what helps make up our unique slice of heaven. Now here's your host, Dawn Davis Womack.
Hello, laughers. I'm super excited to introduce you to Jon Henry from Jon Henry General Store, a historic general store in New Market, Virginia, featuring an eclectic assortment of Virginian, American, and fair trade items, including gifts, snacks, toys, provisions, memorabilia, and crafts in every price range. Founded by Jon Henry in 2018, the store carries locally sourced produce during the summer and fall seasons. The shop is well known for its large collection of silly socks, with 200 styles and designs featured. It's also Shenandoah Valley's only Artomat vending spot. The store is located in one of New Market's oldest buildings, Abbey Hinkle House, which was completed in 1802. The building served as a general store around 1835 until the outbreak of the Civil War. The limestone and brick building features a stone foundation and poured glass windows. In 2019, Jon Henry was awarded the Outstanding Young Professional Award by the Shenandoah County Chamber of Commerce for the shop's ongoing engagement in the community. Welcome to the show, Jon. It's great to have you on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
That is so exciting. You're such an amazing young man doing incredible things. I love meeting young entrepreneurs who are getting after it and bringing so much value to our community and to our valley. I'm curious, are you from the Shenandoah Valley?
Yeah, so my family's been here for many generations. Most recently, for almost the last 100, my dad's side of the family has been farming and living up in Mount Jackson. And if you're like a local, you would call it Hawkinstown, not Mount Jackson. My grandma's very quick to correct on that. So my mom's side of the family, they're from more around the Marshall area. So a lot of my growing up was, up at the farm there in Mount Jackson.
That's really great. Yeah, I understand. That's a lot of generations of farming. And I understand the general store you have builds upon your family's pastime of produce peddling along Route 11. Not something I've ever personally done. So that had to be fun. I mean, you keep doing it. Do you have fond memories of doing that as a kid?
Yeah, so like even my great grandparents, they did like a pick your own strawberry farm there in Mount Jackson and sold strawberries along the side of the road. And ever since then, I remember like waking up as a kid at like 4 years old. I guess maybe is that when you can walk? Maybe it's 8. I don't know. I'm always ahead. Maybe 4 years old makes it sound like labor loss.
I think that's good.
Maybe 8 years old. But, I felt 4 years old in the morning at 4 a.m., cutting sweet corn, picking tomatoes, picking pumpkins. Those were kind of the core crops and selling them along Route 11. That was definitely something I remembered. I also liked doing the selling along the highway because I always thought it was less work than actually picking the produce, in the morning. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll man the stand. You all can go back to the field and I'll deal with all the customers then.
Sounds like my kind of vibe right there. I would have done the same thing. I would have rather be talking to the people in the stand than be out in the fields myself. Did you have a favorite produce that you all sold that you farmed?
My favorite thing might be tomatoes, just because I feel like I know them really well and I can really upsell tomatoes and answer everyone's questions about it. I get weirdly defensive around sweet corn because it pangs at my heart when a customer strips back a full ear of sweet corn and then throws it back in the bin and they're like, oh, it's not good. And I'm like, why? How's that not good? It's like a weird personal thing I feel bad on, but tomatoes are way easier and I don't take it as personal. when, they say no.
Say no to the sweet corn. Yeah, I love sweet corn too. So I'm going to have to get some of the sweet corn for sure. The food, in fact, that you offer in the store is sourced from the family farm, Jumping Run Farm, I believe it is, correct? Jumping Run?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, Jumpin Run.
Jumpin Run.
No G at the end of jumping, which is confusing.
Right. So why is it named that without a G?
So we're not sure why it got named that. My dad was trying to figure out some marketing for the farm itself. And we were looking on an old plat from back in the olden days. And that was the name of the stream that starts in the farm, is Jumpin Run Farm. And so that's what gave it the name, because the idea was that the family farm was not going to be called the Henry Family Farm because that was too generic.
Okay. So they wanted to fancy it up a little bit.
Yeah. So, but it created complications because to be like true to history, we couldn't put a G at the end of jumping. So that always gets confusing to people, or to like the algorithm online, or sometimes with the state. And then with our store, since I don't have an H in my John name, people also always get confused or spell things wrong. So I feel like business wise, we always have a complicated name that confuses people,
That's all right. You can keep everybody guessing and also just curious. I think that's great. And then once they know, once John is without the H, once that jumping is without the G, so that works out great. Yeah. And what do you all farm on your multi-generational farm?
Yeah. So the core of the farm is beef cattle. So we have about 100 beef cattle on the farm at a time, and we sell that meat at the store, of course. But outside of that, it kind of fluctuates based upon market demand and restaurant contracts. And my focus with all our vegetables is specifically on pumpkins, tomatoes, corn, squash, zucchinis, and cucumbers. And then depending on like what a restaurant might want, we will add on typically like beets or potatoes, and kind of go from there. But that's kind of our core, is tomatoes, pumpkins, and sweet corn.
Yeah, I was reading actually on some of your reviews where it seems like the chefs in the area, you are a go-to for the fresh produce.
Yeah, we work with everyone that we can. We never really say no, as long as the chef has money.
I love your sense of humor.
Yeah. As long as you have money, we don't turn you down as a customer. Which if you are in the restaurant world, that can automatically filter out some restaurants, because they have a kind of a high failure rate. But we have some really good partners like across the street, Jackson's Corner Cafe, Woodstock Cafe, Cafe Torino, Claire's. So yeah, a lot of different little places from Harrisonburg up into DC.
A wide range of folks that know about you. That's really good. I'm going to have to try out some of those restaurants as well. I love fresh produce. And when restaurants use locally sourced products and food, that's great. You have such an amazing history in that building. It's really fascinating. We shared some facts in the intro. Are there some other fun facts that you'd like the laughers to know about that we didn't exactly cover?
So the building's from 1802. We say completed because it is 4 stories of hand-cut stone. So I feel like the person who built it was probably really busy for maybe more than a year or 2 building this.
I bet.
I just can't imagine how long it took to cut all the stone for the building. But maybe that was before there was TikTok, so people were a little more productive. I don't know.
Right. And no YouTube tutorial videos for that person either. And that has got to be, it sounds like incredible craftsmanship for it to be solid built the way it is.
Yeah, and customers can't see it, but like up in the roof doesn't even have nails in it. It's all wooden pegs. So it's a pretty old structure in that way. And I learned at a local chamber of commerce meeting that back in the day, our building was also the first house in the town of Newmarket to have a gas powered lawnmower.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was pretty funny that a lot of people in like my parents' generation all remember that Miss Hinkle was the first person to ever buy a lawnmower in the town of Newmarket.
That would be big back then, for real.
Yeah. And people like this one lady who now works at our visitor center, she tells me like she used to come over and watch with her sister them mow the grass because it was just this newfangled, dangerous, crazy contraption that they used to mow the grass. And her sister were fascinated by it. So there's that kind of little history. The building, was a general store. It was a bank for 30, 40 years. They used to teach art classes here. So, I mean, its history is pretty colorful in how it was located in town. But like oddly, for being the oldest building in town, for some reason, nobody ever took photos of it during that time period. And I don't know if that was like because it was so old, everyone was like, that's where they stood to take the photos of all the other buildings in Main Street and at the intersection. So it's been actually hard to find photos of the building in any archives or at the Historical Society.
Oh, really? So how are you getting the facts about it? Just from word of mouth and oral history mostly then?
Yeah, so we get a lot of the facts from just customers here in town who've lived here for multiple generations. The historical societies do have a little bit of information that they've pieced together about the building, but oddly, there's no photo documentation really of the building. And like any of the old street view photos of it, it seems like the person was always standing at our building when they took the photos of everything else in town. Yeah.
That's interesting. And Abby Hinkle, it was her house. She was I think, pianist, right? So she taught piano lessons in there. Did I read that right?
So there was piano. Yeah, there were piano lessons here. Other art lessons happened here. So that was pretty popular. And I think that's why a lot of people, like the young girls, remembered like the lawnmower story and everything, because you would come over here for your classes and whatnot with Miss Hinkle. So yeah, it's kind of fascinating little spot in town, and it's been fun just to hear everyone's stories over the years as we've been open, particularly back in the bank, because they're like, oh, where you now have all that flour sitting and your ice cream coolers are, that's where, I did my first car loan.
Oh my gosh, that's actually really cool.
Yeah, and everyone really remembers, particularly people who got their first car loans. They're all like, oh yeah, I remember so-and-so used to sit there where you have I guess wherever our ice cream freezer is, must have like really cranked out the car loans in the 80s.
That's something fun to be known for. I like that a lot. Yeah. You're also known for being having Shenandoah Valley's largest silly sock collection, stocked with over 200 different designs, styles, length, and materials. You even offer a silly sock subscription. And I'm smiling because this is amazing. I've never met anybody that offers this, number one, and has a subscription for them. Why the silly socks?
Yeah, so we were trying to figure out some type of gift item at the store when we first opened, because like if you go on like trips now, you want like a gift from that trip, but like the era of traditional tchotchkes is kind of over, you don't want this weird little sculpture that collects dusts and the cat will knock over from the top of your fridge, and everyone has stainless steel appliances now, so magnets don't work on people's fridges. And so we were trying to figure out something that would be a collectible item, and we stumbled across silly socks. And yeah, they've really grown in popularity. We went from like 10 styles originally on this little spinner rack to a full wall and then 3 standalone shelving units throughout the store with them. And originally it was just kind of like produce-based silly socks, during the summer. Like, oh, when you buy some tomatoes, don't forget tomato socks. And now we have everything from like NASA socks to like ostrich socks to bicycles, and really an eclectic mix of everything, like army toy soldiers on your socks. Unicorn socks are really in this fall.
Okay. That's the popular one right now, is the unicorn socks.
Unicorns and dinosaurs are really, really in right now. And faux socks, like the Vietnamese faux soup, that's also really in. Yeah.
I don't know what faux is. Can you help me out with that?
It's like a beef broth soup.
Oh.
That has, pho.
Yes.
F-P-H-O. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. Obviously don't eat a lot of pho.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I did see
you can still buy the sock.
That's right. I can still get the sock. There are a lot of them. I was checking them out online. There are a lot of really fun ones. And I think the gift subscription is what a great idea. It's Christmas right now. People could get those as Christmas gifts. I think that's amazing. So the gift subscription, how does that really work? How does that, if we've ordered a subscription, what would happen?
Yeah. So we do a CSA as a farm business. And so you can get, food delivered every week to your...
Okay, hold on.
Time
out. What's a CSA? Real quick.
CSA is community supported agriculture.
Thank you. Okay.
So it's like a weekly food prescription program.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. So we are used to that kind of subscription, and a consultant actually that we got through the Small Business Development Center at JMU was like, you need to start doing other types of subscriptions year round to get better cash flow. And he was like, people will pay to have socks delivered to them every week or month. And I was like, no one would do that. And it kind of grew from there. So we have people who get fresh socks every month. Some people get them every week, once a quarter. But a lot of people say it's like a fun way for them to spruce up their outfits. And I didn't realize this, but it's like a weird power play now in like corporate America, because there's like dress code.
Oh, really?
With like nurse staff.
Yeah.
Nurse staff and bank staff. But like socks are unregulated in corporate dress code. So it's like how you can do your power flex.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird thing where a lot of professionals get them as a fun way to like spruce up maybe a kind of drab corporate outfit.
Oh, I love that. And then is it one of those things where you get surprised with what comes in your subscription, or do you get to pick the socks that are coming your way in the subscription?
We do it all based upon surprise, because we find that has a lot more fun for people. And you can, 1 month you might get a sock that has a poem on it by Ellen Fitzgerald, I think, is our sock poem collection right now. And then you'll get like a NASA sock. So you could get this weird little eclectic combo.
That's really, how do you find these socks?
They find us. We have like 3 silly sock vendors here in the US that we get from. And the one company, everything they do is made here in the US, which is like a funny that all of our silly socks can be made in the US, but non-silly socks are not. So that was another interesting thing in our sourcing and how we populate our shelves with, American made products first.
Yeah. So did the original socks, when you just had the smaller rack at the beginning before it grew like this, did a vendor approach you and you were not sure, but you decided to try a few? Can you talk to us about that story?
Yeah, so a vendor at a trade show, kind of just at a gift trade show, was like, "Oh yeah, we'll give you a free display if you take us on." And that
Ah,
was like, "Oh, free display, we'll do that." And then it grew from there into the monstrosity of all these silly socks. And it's always weird when someone comes in and they're like, they have a very specific sock need and we can't meet it. Like a lady came in and she wanted otters swimming, making heart shapes in their synchronized swimming outfits. But we didn't have that, but we had otters in outer space with helmets. So it was like, sorry, we don't have, swimming otters. We only have outer space otters right now.
thinking outside the box. Go with those.
Yeah. So, yeah.
This whole thing caught you by surprise. You didn't expect this to be a bigger part of what you offer, it sounds like.
No. And I do not feel like it's also weird because different things can happen on social media that make a sock go trendy. Like one of our sock companies, they had Billie English do, I think so you say her name?
I think that's right. I think that's correct.
Yeah, they had her do like a sock promo on her Instagram. And then we had all these people coming wanting that specific, sock that Billie had wear in her little TikTok, Instagram video. And so there's just interesting things where we're like, oh, that created a weird moment of demand that we didn't know there is. But there is like some people who say they don't wear non-silly socks now. So,
yeah. Wow. Yeah, it is a new thing. There's a friend of mine in town, and I noticed that he wears a lot of silly socks. Now, the next time I see him, I'm going to have to ask him where he gets his silly socks, and I'm going to be pleasantly surprised if it's with you. That'll be great. Yeah, you have that. Yeah. You have that gift subscription, and you have other gift subscriptions now available. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, so we also do like a soap subscription. So we work with a bunch of different soap makers here in Virginia so that every month people can try out a different type of soap. We also do like a jelly and jam subscription. Again, because there's a lot of things that you can try that are made in Virginia. And sometimes it's not so much like you get overwhelmed with your options of choice. So with our subscription, we kind of curate it for you and give you an eclectic mix of different jams or jellies or different soap scents to try out or different soap styles. And before, again, like I got into all of this, I didn't know that there's like goat milk soap, there's olive oil soap, there's soy soaps, it can get pretty involved, let's just say. And then with our jelly and jam subscription, once you get into like the world of jellies and jams, I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of different recipes, fruits, that you can make jelly or jam out of. And today, even a customer bought a bunch of pomegranates from us because she's making pomegranate chutney. And I was like, I didn't even know you could do that.
Me neither. Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah. So
and I also know the difference. So I was going to say, I also don't know the difference between jam, jelly, marmalade, or preserves, but I know there is.
Yeah, me neither. I do love a good jelly, though. I really do. Yeah. On toast, especially with some, not sour cream. What's the other? Cream cheese. That's what I was thinking of. Cream cheese and jelly. That's it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. What other kinds of fun items can the Laughers find in your general store?
Yes. So besides silly socks and jellies and jams, we, work with 200 different farmers and bottlers and artisans from Virginia to get an eclectic mix of food. But besides that, we also, in the world of the non-edible items, we have like a bunch of different types of books that I would say are more like hippie survival books. So like how to do keto if you're a vegan, different gardening organically books. We work with like Chelsea Green Publishing to source a lot of those books. So that's kind of an interesting, really focused in collection of books that we have there. Like the history of cheddar cheese is a really popular one at the holidays this year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a book. There's a book about it. We also have like the history of the pawpaw tree. And then we have a bunch of different board games in right now. Again, I have not played them all, but I understand they can get pretty intense. We have there's 3 layers now of expansions to Catan, and people, I guess, think I have a lot of spare time and I'm able to play all 10 expansion packs. And I'm like, sorry, I haven't played all of those yet. But they look fun.
What is Catan? I don't even know what that is.
Oh, Catan is like our number 1 selling board game. And it's kind of like a Monopoly life. And you're trying to build basically up a civilization. And your only building blocks in that civilization are like wheat, wood, sheep, and stone. So you're trying to build cities and collect all these resources before everyone else in the game.
Oh, my son is into games like that. I'm going to have to ask him about that. And if he doesn't know about it, that is exactly the kind of games that him and his friends love to play. So we'll have to check that out. How do you figure out what kinds of items you want to put in the general store?
Yeah, so our curating method that we use is pretty odd, and we're kind of known for odd curating. But I would say food-wise, I definitely have a soft spot for anything for folks who have food allergies. So we have a really large gluten-free section and vegan section, and that just comes out of the fact that, we as a little independent grocery store can't compete with, say, like a Food Lion or a Walmart, but we can focus in on a specialty product that the bigger box stores aren't really supplying to their customers well, or in a concentrated, thoughtful effort. So that's kind of where we get into our specialty foods area, is kind of building out from people who have dietary issues. And then in the store wise, on the non-edible items, I would say we're definitely veer away from anything tech or screen focused. And since we're a general store, we kind of look back to like quirky general store ideas. Back in the day, that's where you used to go to buy your socks, was at the general store, but now that you get silly socks or, things like that.
So it's almost in ways a modern way to do the general store. Whereas a little bit everything.
So we have everything from pickled turkey gizzards to self-help books on making composting toilets.
Oh my gosh. It's like a mining expedition to come to your store. What will we find? That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, we have over 8,000 individual barcodes in our inventory system. So there's quite a bit of everything here.
Wow. And how do you manage all of that?
So we lucked out again, and the SBDC out of Lord Fairfax Community College, they hooked us up with a grant to actually get a computerized inventory system and bring in like a consultant to teach us how to do all of that inventory management. And that was pretty rough, upgrading to all that technology. But now that we're in it, it's really easy sailing and really just automated almost, and how it can manage everything for us.
Oh, that's amazing. How did that connection come to be? How did you figure that out?
Again, from one of our customers worked within Lord Fairfax, and was one day she actually asked the same question. How do you keep track of all of this? And we were like pretty truthful and was like, we don't. And she was like, oh, there's a flyer I saw at school. You should apply for this grant. And it kind of clicked in from there.
Oh my gosh, what a great opportunity. And that has made a big difference. See, entrepreneurs, just keep your eyes and ears open, and then the connections do come. Yeah. It works like that. You completed your master's degree in art from NYU and James Madison University. And in addition to managing the Jon Henry General Store, you co-managed the family's other store in Warrenton, Virginia. I have a couple of questions about this. So, you have this education. I don't know if your original idea was to open the Jon Henry General Store. So I'm curious, what prompted you to open the store? Was that the original plan, John, after school?
So it was not the original plan after school. And after school, I was teaching and doing some art consulting with different institutions and had like an art career of some sort in the weird art world that I was part of. And the store was kind of there to help pay my mortgage because I live on the second floor of the store. And then with COVID, that kind of basically shut down the art world. And so I fell back on the store as my main source of income. And we've kind of stayed focused on the store now because I don't understand what NFTs are.
That's great. Me neither. So I think you're in a good spot. What ways do you think, though, your education influenced your store and you as a business owner?
I would say, going to art school, I was pretty well aware that you have to become like your own advocate. In order to become an artist, you also had to like do a lot of terms of marketing. So I feel like that helped set us apart where I wasn't afraid of social media or using a camera and also like knowing how to use a camera well. And with intention, it's like the staff complains sometimes where I make them reshoot a photo 3 or 4 times before we'll post it online. Oh, the lighting isn't right. We have to go outside, change the background before we take a photo. So I think some of that like weird art logistic attention to detail has really played out well for us. And then I think some people say that we have a pretty creative marketing front and sales program. So that would be, I guess came from the art world training since other people don't do it. But it seems so natural to us that I'm like, how can you not do it? So,
yeah. What would you say are some key things in that make it so successful?
Yeah, I would say that I'm pretty rigorous on always posting. And from what I've gathered, you basically have to do it almost like a ritual of like post every day. On all your social media. And so I've kind of gotten it, while I'm having my morning breakfast, I'll make a post. And throughout the day, I'm just taking photos all the time to get some content for future Facebook posting. So yeah, I'm just always having my phone out, taking photos and getting content developed for our social media. And then just trying to always remember to have like fun in the process and not be stressed out, has been fun. Like right now we're running a promo on Mexican Coke, which is glass bottle Coke.
Coke. Okay. Coke. All right. A Mexican Coke. There's a thing as Mexican Coke. Okay.
Yeah. So Coca-Cola from Mexico uses real cane sugar and it comes in a glass bottle.
Yes.
It's closer to the original. Yeah. So we're kind of doing promos with that online and in our marketing. And there's lots of jokes about Mexican Coke in the process.
Does it come out in your social media or is this more like fun banter between staff and you?
I would say it comes out in like social media, like we have the cheapest Mexican Coke in Newmarket.
That's great.
All our Mexican Coke is sold by the liter, not the kilo.
You guys are having fun. Is a sense of humor required to be employed by you?
I say it helps in the interview process.
Now, do you have a social media person, or are you managing most of that yourself?
Yeah, I do all the social media myself. We get ideas though from like all the staff, so I'm not the best on like making the TikTok videos. And so in the summer, when a lot of our high school staff come in the busy season, they kind of take over that and like film the videos themselves. And they all want to be TikTok famous, with their little dance videos.
Yeah. So you have a TikTok too. I haven't seen your TikTok.
Yeah, I would not say it's up to par yet. And we don't have the following that we have with our Instagram and Facebook, but it's on the back burner. We'll get there.
Okay. I'm going to have to check that out. That's a lot of fun. I'm going to take some tips from you for sure. You have a lot to offer, and I think it's incredible. There is also a Virginia Fresh Match program available through the Jon Henry General Store. And I think with the farming background that you all have and the multi-generation farming, that is a result of where you are right now. That's great. Can you tell the laughers what that is and how it works?
Yeah, so the great thing about Virginia Fresh Match is that it's a food access point for us. And so basically the program works where if you have a SNAP EBT or PEBT card, which is like the new terminology for traditional food stamps, if you come into the store and you purchase any perishable or frozen fruits and vegetables, you get them for 50% off. So say a bushel of apples is $30, you only pay $15 for that out of your benefits. So it's a really big incentive to eat healthier. And it's a federally administered program. We're one of about 6 grocery stores in the entire Commonwealth that does it right now. There's a lot of paperwork on our back end that goes with it. But on the front end, customers just really love it because it really does help lower the cost of all of our produce for folks who don't have a lot of money or that kind of disposable income.
And have the ability to still eat healthy. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unique. And another unique thing you offer is holiday seafood. And that's amazing to me because you're in the heart of the Shenandoah Valley. How did this offering come about, and where in the world do you get the seafood?
Yeah, so that is weirdly a valley thing. And like growing up here, it just seemed normal to me that at all the holidays, you always had oysters to eat. And like king crab legs in the summer and a low country boil in the summer, with different crab meats and potatoes and all that. And from what I understand historically, talking to somebody at JMU, is that like back in the early days of Virginia history, like seafood people from the coast would come up to the valley to pick up apples to take back to the coast, because that's what they used to grow a lot of in the valley. And you could never really run an empty wagon, from the coast. So they would load up their oysters and seafood, which kind of down there were in plethora and cheap, and bring them up to the valley and get good money, and then pick up apples up here and take back down to the city and to the bay and make good money. And culturally, that just became a thing. And yeah, so there's a historic and intergenerational demand for seafood at the holidays. And we were lucky enough that we live in Virginia, where we connected with the Kellum family down in Weems. And they, I think, have been selling seafood for like 100 years. And they deliver to us once a week.
Oh, where's Weems, Virginia? Where is that?
I've never been there. It's really far away.
I think you're my new best friend, John, because you're just like, hey, this is what I know. I'm the same way. Or I don't know this. I love it.
Yeah. No, they say in customer training like workshops I've been to, just to always tell the customer, if you don't know, don't make it up or lie. They prefer truth. And so I'm like, yep, this is where my knowledge ends pretty abruptly.
I did the same thing. Yep. We are soul like brothers and sisters on that for sure. Recently, I'm so excited to talk about this next thing and ask you about it, because recently you acquired the property next door and you are in the process of restoring it to what it once was, the Weaver Hotel, dating back to 1885 with multiple rooms. Very exciting. Currently, there is one room available for rent at the moment. How is the restoration process going, and when do you anticipate the other rooms opening?
Yeah, so we just opened up the first room, which we call like the green door. So the idea is that every room in the hotel is going to have a different color, and instead of room numbers, you'll get a door color.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe that's my art degree coming through there. I don't know.
I think so, maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, we got the green door room done, and we're waiting to see how that does. And then based upon that success, open up at least 3 more other units in it. And it's taken a lot more work than you would originally have suspected. Like the next unit, which we hope to call like Purple Door, that unit, it turns out when we took down the walls, there was tile behind the walls.
Really?
And then yes, they put wood paneling over tiled walls like this. So that was kind of like a shock. And then behind the tile is another wooden wall. So
wow.
There's kind of, yeah. Yes, it's pretty dated. There's still some red shag carpet on the first level. That's like, that 70s shag carpet.
Yep.
So there's some work there, but we hope to have everything kind of coming online room by room as we kind of see a demand and it grows out for us.
Okay, so it's not like a specific, we will have this many rooms by summer. It's more an ongoing process as the demand presents itself. Yeah,
and as we kind of see what folks are needing or wanting. And the bigger issue too is just with the rapid inflation, the cost of everything just keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah. Yeah. And even in materials, I take it in terms of what you need to do to restore.
Yeah. And I mean, all of our price quotes that we get from people in this renovation process have all been like, yeah, these price quotes are only good for 7 or 15 days.
Oh, jeez.
It's like, well, I doubt you'll be doing that construction within 15 days and have it done. So that's always an interesting thing.
Oh my gosh. So does that mean that the price could change after they give you a quote as you're going through the process? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. And we have another renovation project on the property. And originally we were this is for our coolers in the back. We were upgrading our coolers for the grocery component, and the inside siding, it was cheaper to put plastic walls on the inside. And when the day came to install them, we would save a couple $100 if we went to metal, which was odd because the metal is typically the higher end option.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we ended up getting these beautiful metal walls instead of plastic sheets on the walls.
Well, that's a better
outcome. Money.
Yeah, that's a better outcome, but a surprising one at that for sure. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. What do you love most about what you do, Jon Henry?
I like meeting our eclectic mix of customers. So we are located right off the interstate. We have signs on the interstate advertising the store. And like today, we had a lady down in the store from Alaska.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So she was down here like visiting grandkids. So that was really cool to meet somebody from that far away. And then, we have other people coming into the store, who may not have left Shenandoah County in 8 months.
Oh, wow. So your people well-traveled and those are just getting out a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really like meeting all the eclectic people and hearing everyone's stories. Or I feel like one day when it gets a little calmer, we hope to do like a recipe book. Like this one woman today was buying these pomegranates, to make pomegranate molasses. And I'm like, what? I don't even know what this is.
I've never heard of that either.
Yeah. And she's supposed to be bringing me back a cup tomorrow after she finishes making it. So I get to try it.
I'm going to have to ask you about that when I see you. You're going to put it on some pancakes? I would put. How would you use molasses like that?
I would assume on toast. Or like on a biscuit, maybe with butter.
Yeah. That's new. That's a new item to me. I would love to get a cup and check it out. I don't know what figure that out. What do you enjoy doing in your free time when you're not working at the store?
Yeah, so in my free time, I like just hiking around the valley. I did have a knee injury last year, so I've had to pull that back a bunch because I don't want to aggravate my knee. But I really enjoy like just exploring the woods and all the little mountain nooks and crannies that the valley has to offer. I think that's part of your blog, though, right? No hiking.
Yeah, I know. We almost just crossed the line, didn't we? Oh, well.
Yeah. I went up to it. I did.
You did. You danced on it.
Yeah.
That's all right. It's like our comics. We have comics come on our stages, both the clean comedians and then the mature comedians that'll agree to do a clean set for us. So we have to give our rating PG-13 because of them.
Yeah.
But it makes it all fun and cleanish in the end. So dancing on the line is something we are familiar with at X2 Comedy.
Yeah.
And so it makes life a little bit more fun. Throw some spice in there, right? So, yeah. That's great. Well, as we wrap up here, can you share with the laughers how they can follow Jon Henry General Store on social media or otherwise to get more information?
Yeah, so basically go to our website, johnhenrygeneralstore.com. Again, John doesn't have an H. And you can also find us on Facebook or Instagram and maybe TikTok.
TikTok's growing. It's going to catch up. Another summer with those young high school students, and you might just be right there.
Yes.
And laughers, will be sure to put that information for you in the show notes as well, because this is an awesome general store. I can't tell you how many of my friends have told me about how amazing this store is and that we had to get them on as a guest on the podcast. So go check it out. It's a fantastic place to do some last minute Christmas or gift shopping throughout the year as well. So make a visit to New Market and catch them very soon. Thank you, John. This has been so fun chatting with you today on all things Jon Henry General Store. I love speaking with you today, and I'm very much looking forward to my next visit to New Market, which I'm actually doing next week with my husband to do that very thing, some last minute Christmas shopping at your store. Thanks again for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You bet. Laughers, you can get more information on all things Jon Henry General Store, such as their store hours, silly socks, gift items, food boxes and provisions, holiday seafood, gift subscriptions, more information about a stay at the Weaver Hotel, and a whole lot more when you visit their website at johnhenrygeneralstore.com. Again, that's JON without the H. And we'll be sure to put all their info in the show notes for you as well. And of course, lastly, and most importantly, thanks for tuning in, laughers. Out of all the podcasts out there, you picked us, and we think that's pretty darn special, just like you. Until next time, keep smiling. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Virginia is for Laughers podcast, brought to you by X2 Comedy. We'll be dropping a new podcast every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so check back for another uplifting episode. Come to an X2 Comedy show or let us bring a show to you. To find out more, head to x2comedy.com. Be sure to share us with a friend. Until next time, cheers.